Greetings, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the long-awaited next part of the Doctor Who DVD Disambiguation. Today, we'll be covering Season 22. Yes, last time we bid a sad farewell to the fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, in one of the all-time greatest Doctor Who stories ever, The Caves of Androzani. Easily one of the best send-offs, if not the best send-off story from the classic era. Just fantastic stuff. And we ushered in the sadly short-lived era of the sixth Doctor. Now, breaking from tradition, last time I mentioned this at the end of the last one, but I'll mention it again here just in case some of you aren't watching all of these. Breaking from tradition, rather than having the regeneration story as the season finale, they actually had it as the second last story of the season. So the first story, featuring the new Doctor, the Doctor Incumbent, Doctor Number 6, played by the wonderful Colin Baker, was actually the season finale. So viewers got to see the new Doctor in his first full adventure as at the end of the season. Now, was that a good idea? Well, let's talk about it a little bit today, shall we? So, Season 22 of the classic series of Doctor Who, 1985, today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, let's get right into it, shall we? I do apologize for those of you watching these as they come out. Bit of a delay for this one. Missed it last week. Hella late this week. I'm just going to post it on timey-wimey Thursday. Yeah, it doesn't quite have the same ring to it, but what can I say? Yeah, basically it's because this is being posted during October, and I'm trying to get all the Halloween stuff going, and I'm late on that too. It's just been a crazy month. So anyway, here we are. Let's do this. Okay, so first up, we took a brief look at this at the end of the previous episode. We have story number 137, The Twin Dilemma. Now, this is generally considered not the best debut story for an incoming Doctor. We have, there's the old post-regenerative stress disorder thing going on. But in this case, Colin Baker's Doctor was meant to be sort of very irritable and abrasive to begin with. But there was a plan. There was a plan at work there. That was that over the course of, 3 or 4 seasons, his character would soften and, it would mature. So he's supposed to be, kind of the petulant, impatient child for his first season, and then gradually matures over the course of it. Honestly, I saw shades of the arc that the first Doctor, William Hartnell, went through, where he started off very irritable and irascible, as they say, and then softened over the course of his 3-year run. And that is very much what they were trying to do with Colin Baker's Doctor. However, as we will discuss along the way here, that plan sadly did not come to fruition, at least not on screen. It later came to fruition via the Big Finish audio adventures, of which I have not heard a lot of his stories. I've just kind of listened to some of the key ones, and boy, what an amazing arc that would have been if we had seen it on screen. It would have been fantastic, but alas, not to be. So, how is his first story? Well, his first story is, as I say, not the greatest debut for a Doctor. I never really had a big issue with it. I thought it was just kind of a, straight up middle of the road story. A lot of fans say that the main villain in it literally looks like a pile of poop. I don't know that I would be quite so harsh. I don't think it looks any better or worse than a lot of other typical Doctor Who monsters from that era. But yeah, I can see the sort of pile of poop equation. But the one thing that fans really get bent out of shape over is an incident that occurs in the very first episode. The Doctor is freshly regenerated, completely out of his mind, essentially, And Perry's just trying to cope with the situation. She's never seen a regeneration before. She doesn't know what's going on. She's freaking out. And as she's trying to cope, the Doctor just gets more and more agitated and crazy, and ultimately accuses Perry of being an alien spy, and then attempts to strangle her to death. Yes, this scene has been the and I think a lot of fans put too much weight on that moment. I mean, it was meant to be the Doctor's all crazy and whatnot because of the stress of the regeneration. I mean, it was a very rough regeneration, and he wasn't himself yet. So, but a lot of fans feel that they took it too far in that scene, and that it went over the top. Mary Whitehouse certainly had a field day with his era, and hated all of it pretty much because of the violence and whatnot. It is quite a bit more violent in his debut season, and the Twin Dilemma does kind of set the stage for that. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of fans latch onto that, and they never forgave his Doctor for that, and they just refused to give the benefit of the doubt to any of the stories that followed. Now, some fans may say, well, that's because the stories that followed weren't any better. Well, I beg to differ. I think there's actually some excellent stories in his era, and I definitely urge any fans out there who condemned the Sixth Doctor in the past to revisit and reevaluate, because I think there's some great stuff in there. I think Colin Baker's a fantastic actor, and I think he did the best with the material that he was given, that he possibly could. So, let's carry on. I didn't mean to go on such a ramble there. So, getting into his first season proper, we have story number 138, Attack of the Cybermen. The first time we've seen the Cybermen back in action since Earthshock, actually, the big pivotal Fifth Doctor story. So this is quite a nice Cyberman story. This was the one that did come under attack for some of the violence. The Doctor actually picks up and uses a gun to shoot the Cyber leader in the chest and kill him. So yeah, never let it be said that the Doctor doesn't kill. In fact, if you actually watch the classic series, the Doctor kills quite frequently. But the idea is he doesn't kill unless he feels that that's the only solution. But he definitely is not a pacifist. He's not, he's not a wuss. He's not adverse to killing. He will kill if he needs to. Next up, we have, this is a fan favorite, actually. I think most fans, even those who don't care for the Sixth Doctor's era, still like this one. We have Vengeance on Varos, which ironically is about violence on television, yet is quite a violent story itself, and kind of pokes satirical fun at a lot of the things that Doctor Who itself had been under attack for many under attack for many years. So this is the 2-disc special edition. There was a regular edition as well, which I'll give you a look at here. So this is the original edition of Vengeance on Varos. It should be noted, one of the guest stars, one of the main characters in this story, is Jason Connery, who is Sean Connery's son, actually. And some of you may remember him as Robin Hood, Robin of Huntingdon specifically, in the third series of Robin of Sherwood. So he did the latter half of that series, and quite good he was, too. So this actually would have been around the same time, or shortly before he did Robin of Sherwood, a couple years before. But good stuff. All right, so next up we have, well, we've met the Master many times before, and the Master, of course, freshly, kind of regenerated in the tail end of Tom Baker's era, and plagued the Fifth Doctor a number of times. So now we meet another evil Time Lord, this time an evil Time Lady, and who goes by the name of the Rani. So we have story number 140, The Mark of the Rani. And the Master's in this too, and just kind of tagging along for the ride. I mean, it's really the Rani's show here. But this is a wonderful story that takes place in the past, and get some lovely set design and location work there. But really, really cool stuff. I should mention also, Vengeance on Varos, we meet the slug-like Syl, played by the wonderful Nabil Shaban, wonderful actor, and he really goes for the gusto as Syl. One thing I should also mention, I forgot to mention at the start here. This season, sorry, a stack of Blu-rays just fell over. This season also, I think I made mention of this in the previous one. This season they were trying a few different things to try to breathe new life into the show. I mean, we had the new Doctor. They're also playing around with the format a little bit. So in this case, we actually have, rather than 26 25-minute episodes, we have 13 45-minute episodes. So they put it into like an hour slot instead of a half-hour slot. They did that once before in the previous season with Resurrection of the Daleks, where they showed it as two 45-minute episodes just to kind of test the waters. I guess it must have been successful because they decided to do it for the entire season this time. Now, this is a period in the show's history where it was starting to be in trouble. It was kind of flagging in the ratings a little bit, and Michael Grade, then controller of BBC, basically the man in charge, made no secret of the fact that he hated the show and felt it was rubbish and a waste of time and money. And a lot of fans felt that he was basically going out of his way to find ways to just get the show canceled. And yeah, so more on that in few minutes here. So next up we have now normally this type of story would be done like for an anniversary or some such thing, but in this case they just decided to do it just because, just for the heck of it. So we have story number 141, The Two Doctors, and notable also in that this is 3 45-minute episodes. It's the equivalent of a 6-part story in the old format, which is interesting because this is the first time we had an extended length episode or a story like this since the Tom Baker era. I mean, all throughout Peter Davison's era, we had 2 and 4-parters. We had no 6-parters at all. So the last, I think the last 6-parter we had was, what was it? The Armageddon Factor, actually. The Armageddon Factor, way back in season 16 with the Key to Time saga. So that was the last... yeah, well, I guess Shada would have been a 6-parter from season 17, but of course it wasn't finished. And then following that, we had Tom Baker's last season, which was nothing but 4-parters and 2 episodes longer than the typical season. And yeah, so pretty cool. So here we have the 2 Doctors, in which the 6th Doctor and Perry meet up with the 2nd Doctor and Jamie, and they are on special assignment for the Time Lords, which has led to a lot of fan speculation as to where exactly in the 2nd Doctor's timeline he was lifted from in order to be there for that story. And the only thing they could think of was somewhere in between when he regenerates into the 3rd Doctor and when his trial was with the Time Lords. So somewhere in the middle there. And further speculation is that that's also where he appears from in the 5 Doctors, because in the 5 Doctors he has knowledge of Zoe and Jamie's memories being erased by the Time Lords, so that they didn't remember his time with them. But the only time he would have known that is right after his trial. And as far as we saw on screen at the time, right after his trial, he regenerated into the 3rd Doctor. So it seems that a lot of stuff happened in between there that we didn't see. One of which, apparently, is this adventure here, where Jamie was, for whatever reason, briefly given his memory back and sent off on a mission for the Time Lords with the Doctor, in which he met up with his 6th incarnation. Continuity gaffes aside, it's just nice to see Patrick Troughton one more time. This is his final appearance in the show. He passed away, actually, I think the following year, or a couple years later, but... yeah, and you can see he's getting on in years a little bit. They didn't bother dyeing his hair or anything. You can see quite a lot of gray there. But that kind of works also if you kind of slot him into the timeline at that point where it's like, well, he's about to regenerate into John Pertwee, who had white hair, or gray, grayish white hair. So he's kind of midway along the way. I don't know. There's a lot of ways as a fan you can sort of reconcile things. I should mention also this guest stars Jacqueline Hill. No, Jacqueline Pierce. Jacqueline Pierce Back when I was talking about Tom Baker's last season, I made a grievous error when I talked about this story, Meglos. I said it was Jacqueline Pierce returning. It's not Jacqueline Pierce, it's Jacqueline Hill. I do apologize. A bunch of you just jumped all over me and curb stomped me for my erroneous facts there, and I do apologize. So Jacqueline Hill, who of course played Barbara Wright, and then returned as the one of the villains in Meglos for her final appearance in the show. Well, this one guest stars Jacqueline Pierce, who was, of course, most of you may know her as Servalan in Blake 7. She was one of the main villains there, and always a joy to see her. She's just a wonderful, beautiful actress. So she plays a baddie in this one as well. And then it seems like the Blake 7 reunion continues, because then we have story number 142, Timelash, which guest stars Paul Darrow, also from Blake 7. He played Avon on Blake 7. Now, this one is generally considered one of the all-time worst stories ever. I have not seen it in a very, very long time. I will be rewatching it at some point in the relatively near future. I remember thinking it was okay. I liked that H.G. Wells was in it, and we kind of find out where he gets his inspiration for his time machine story. I thought that was kind of fun. Paul Darrow is just freaking chewing up the scenery, hamming it up to the nines there. But that's really all I remember about it. I don't remember much else. Yeah, so anyway, Timelash. Fans hate it. I'm probably going to enjoy it as just a bit of cheesy fun. A lot of fans don't like the Two Doctors either. I should mention the Two Doctors is written by Robert Holmes, who's one of the longtime alumni of Doctor Who. I mean, he had written stories dating all the way back to the 60s. And John Nathan Turner originally did not want sort of old Who writers coming back, but they fought tooth. But you know, the others fought tooth and nail to get Robert Holmes in there, and boy, were they ever glad they did, because the Two Doctors is a ridiculously silly story, but it's so much fun that I can forgive its flaws quite easily. And then finally, boy, does this season ever end on a bang. We have story number 143, Revelation of the Daleks. Easily one of the darkest and most disturbing Dalek stories ever in the history of the show. I mean, it's just amazing. Oh, and of course, it's written by Eric Sayward. Eric Sayward liked to go dark with his stories. He was the story editor at the time, or script editor at the time. And so here we go. So Revelation of the Daleks. Great stuff. Notable guest star in that, we have comedian Alexei Sayle, actually, as a sort of space DJ. That was my introduction to Alexei Sayle, and I since went exploring and discovered a lot of his humor. He had like sort of a sketch comedy show, a couple of sketch comedy shows that he'd done. Wonderful audio play that he did called Alexei Sayle and the Fish People, in which he plays all the characters, and it's absolutely hilarious. He did a lot of sort of musical comedy as well, like he did, Hello, John Got a New Motor. That's one of the big ones that he's known for. I think you can find the video for that on YouTube. It's Hello, John Got a New Motor. But, yeah, anyway, good times. Some fans felt that Alexei Sayle was kind of out of place in there. I thought he fit right in with just the insanity of that story. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on in that one. Now, so over the course of this, you see a lot of different aspects of the Doctor. You do sort of see the abrasiveness. You do see a bit of the warmer side as well. And, you know, it's just some terrific adventures. Ones that I would recommend if you just kind of want to get a taste for his stuff. I would definitely recommend, well, the creme de la creme, Vengeance on Varos, Mark of the Rani, Two Doctors, Revelation of the Daleks. So, I mean, that's a pretty good... And I would actually throw Attack of the Cybermen in there, too. So, really, you've only got a couple of stinkers in here, Twin Dilemma and Timelash. 5 out of 7 ain't bad. I mean, again, I think he was really given the shaft as far as his portrayal of the Doctor, not only by the fans, but also by the BBC itself. Because at the end of this season... Michael Grade initiated Phase 1 of his Kill Who plan and put the show on hiatus for 18 months. Yeah. So this season began, I guess, fairly early in 1985. Yeah, January of 1985. So it would not return again until the middle of 1986. And it was the beginning of the end, my friends. The beginning of the end. There would be only 4 more seasons of Classic Who, and then it would be all over for what felt to be, for a long time, like it would be forever. Now, during the 18-month hiatus, fans and cast and crew members and, all over rallied to raise support and awareness and try to show the BBC that that there was interest in the show, and that the ratings aren't necessarily the most accurate thing. I mean, it's a worldwide show. It's sold to markets all over the world, and they wanted to prove to the BBC that it was not unpopular and deserved to come back. So there was a few things that happened during that 18-month hiatus, one of which was there was an audio drama done, again written by Eric Sayward, entitled Slipback. This is the novelization of Slipback, and so it was basically just a fairly straightforward adventure with the Sixth Doctor and Perry, and stuff like that. So that aired on BBC Radio. The Doctor appeared in character on Jim'll Fix It, which was a kids' show at the time, in a segment called A Fix with the Sontarans, in which he helped a little boy defeat... It was kind of like a Children's Wish kind of thing. So this little boy, I guess, was a big Doctor Who fan and wanted to have an adventure with the Doctor, so they arranged that. So they had Colin Baker come in character as the Doctor, and there were some Sontarans there as well that they could do battle with, and he helped the Doctor defeat the Sontarans, which is pretty cool. Jimmy Savile, who was the host and, I guess, creator of Jim'll Fix It, that's a whole other story that's kind of unfortunate. It turns out he was quite the pedophile. Yeah, and a lot of things came out after his demise that were less than pleasant, which could be one of the reasons that the Two Doctors DVD is out of print, because the Jim'll Fix It segment is actually on there, and I don't know if that that may be one of the reasons why it's no longer available here. I'm only speculating, but it wouldn't surprise me that if, when we see a re-release of that, the Jim'll Fix It segment will probably be gone. Don't be surprised. Yeah, so at the moment, a few of these are out of print, actually. The Two Doctors and the Mark of the Rani are both out of print here. The rest are still available as of this video, so... good luck finding those two. This one goes for just stupid money on eBay and Amazon. I've seen it go for as much as $200-300. I just happened to luck out when I first started collecting the Doctor Who DVDs in early 2013. The first thing I did was I bought all of the multi-Doctor stories, because to me those were, they were kind of special, and so I wanted to have those initially. So I just lucked out and I got the Two Doctors as part of that initial batch. Another one was a Seventh Doctor story entitled Ghostlight, which went out of print shortly afterwards, and I just picked it up because it's one of my favorite Seventh Doctor stories, so again, got lucky there. And then a generous fan actually helped me track down most of the other out-of-print titles when I sort of got up to that part of the collection, and then I picked up a few myself as well, just basically paid extra for them because there was no other way to get them. Alrighty, so that is it for season 22. So the Doctor was laid to rest for 18 months. Oh, one other thing that happened during that 18 months is Ian Levine, Doctor Who superfan and missing episodes recoverer extraordinaire, and also music producer, basically pulled together a whole bunch of the recurring cast of Doctor Who, as well as some British musicians who I guess owed him some favors or what have you, and they did a song and music video entitled Doctor in Distress, kind of like Feed the World for Doctor Who. And the song is terrible. The music video is cheesy as hell. You can pretty sure you can find it on YouTube, so look that up. It's called Doctor in Distress. But this was part of the, rallying support for the show to show the BBC that there was, demand for it. Boy, Anyway, the less said about that, the better. Yeah, okay, so that is it for Season 22. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry again for the delay. Season 23 will be up on Tuesday, regular schedule. I figured I'd throw the DVD update in, kind of as a little Doctor Who bonus for you today. Alrighty. Yeah, so quick thank you to my Patreon sponsors. Thanks, Patreon sponsors. You guys and gals rock the TARDIS here, there, and everywhere. That was really bad. Okay. Yeah, special big thanks to my two highest level sponsors, namely Kyle Pellegrini and Get Your Gorgeous On, the awesome e-mag maintained by Michelle O'Toole and Simon Hedger. Thank you very much for the support, guys. Really appreciate it. Everyone else out there, please do consider becoming a Patreon sponsor, because it just means I can do more stuff like this for you. And I enjoy doing them, and you seem to enjoy watching them, so hey, why not, right? Alrighty, that is it from me to you for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara. Buttocks. Not a butt ox. That would be weird. Not Botox, because, well, your ass doesn't really smile anyway, so why would you need to Botox it? That just doesn't make sense. That's just silly. Okay. Program guide. 3 doctors, 5 doctors. Day of the Daleks. This is the Pinnacle books, the US ones. There's actually more. I don't have all of them. This is all the ones I have. Doomsday Weapon, Dinosaur Invasion, Genesis of the Daleks, Revenge of the Cybots, Revenge of the Cyberons. Yes. You know what I'm talking about. If you're a real fan, you know what I'm referring to there. Okay, and then we got 10th Planet and the Giant Robot. I do have more books. I don't know if there's room for them. Could you even... I could fit one more in. Let's fit one more in. Let's put in... this one is relevant. Slipback. Yes. Again, you will know the significance of that if you are a true fan. And the significance of why I'm putting it here in this particular video. Alright, here we go. Hold on. Move this over somewhat. We do that maybe. Alright. That seems really too close to me, so let's try moving it back a ways, shall we? Can we do that? Yeah, that's better. That's better. Taking up the whole frickin' screen now. Okay, good.